This is the second annual,
Annual?
weekly, maybe bi-weekly, maybe month. This is the second time we've ever done this intro.
We'll do it like Oda. We'll do three episodes a month, and then we'll take a week break.
Right? That sounds good.
Yeah,
Well, we're not famous yet. We can't do that. We have to be slaves for like the first
fuck
couple of
that.
years.
No,
We have to
I
be
need sanity.
slaves.
I need my sanity.
And then after 6, maybe 7 years of consistent content, then we can do that.
I
Like
need my
Hunter x Hunter.
sanity.
When we become famous enough, then
No,
we can just take 4 year long breaks.
never. Uh, this
But
is the short story long podcast. We talk about games, movies, and random video games and stuff.
right.
Um,
If you're new here,
this
like
is
and
episode
subscribe
2.
right now. You want content? Like and subscribe right now. Oh my god. She did what? Exclamation point. I got him, George.
You did.
Got him.
Lifelong fans now.
That's at least 200 subscribers right there, if not $1,000,000. So
Only
we're
if they're
good.
under like 12.
Well, yes, that's the. Oh yeah, I forgot. If you don't like and subscribe right now and donate all your money, you'll get eaten by a monster tonight. Now we got him. Now we got him.
El Chupa Libre is coming for you.
Right.
Um,
Yes.
Is that what it's called?
El Chupa Libre. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, I think
Chupacabra
so.
is the real one. That was the funny one from some show, I think.
No. Can't talk about Chupacabra.
The Chupacabra.
I can look over my shoulder every time I hear the name.
Exactly. Yo, remember when Toon said that shit? He said, someone said Godzilla. He said, dude, don't do that. My people have PCSD. Like, you're Laotian.
Yeah.
I love that this intro was about the movie we're going to talk about. So short
This
story
movie's
long.
short. It's gonna be a short episode. You're probably gonna get a double feature.
Right.
For
So
episode 2.
Right, short story long. Here we go into what we're talking about today is Fantastic Four 2016.
Fan4stic.
Fan4stic,
And also,
yes.
I think it's 2015. But yeah.
Is it 2015? Maybe, I don't know either
Yeah.
way.
First off, this movie, when I went to go see it, or when I saw it the other day, it definitely gave me the vibe of like an early 2000s a superhero movie. Like it didn't have the 2015. What came out in 2015?
Oh shit, by
Like-
that point we were already into like
We were way past Dark Knight. I think
Avengers
Dark
2.
Knight Rises came out in 2015, and Avengers 2 already came out.
I think so, yeah. It's multiple. They knew
Guardian-
good filmmaking
I
by
think
that
Guardians 2, the original Guardians came out 2014 or 15. Or,
point. I don't know, and around that range. Because I mean,
if it
original
came out-
Iron Man
if
was
it came out the same
2009.
year, then definitely not. It couldn't get inspired by that, and it wouldn't have made the waves.
Right.
But
But I can see what you're saying though. It came out
Yeah.
long enough into like the popular hero movie
Yeah.
genre that you should have taken some insight from some other people and not done the 2005 brand.
yeah,
I can agree with that. Which is also why I think a lot of the characters were either boring or unlikable. And I hate to say that because actually my first impression of the movie was like, it's fine. At first it was like, yeah, it wasn't a blockbuster. I was like, this movie is fine. I was like, if you watch it and you don't know anything about heroes, you'll probably have a good time, maybe a 6 out of 10. And then I started to think more about it. Go ahead.
I fell asleep right when Doctor Doom came back. Like right when he killed all the doctors, I fell asleep. I woke up and I was like, "Oh, the movie's ending. Shit, I must have skipped something." And I fell asleep for like 10 minutes. I said, "Oh, never mind. I didn't skip anything."
Bro!
Uh,
Just went back and watched it again.
Yeah, it was only like 10 minutes. I said, "Huh." I felt like 30 or 40 minutes had transpired between then and now. I guess not.
Right. No, it just because, yeah, everything they. That was sort of the bad part, too. And this is why I appreciate, and it depends on the movie and it depends on the franchise, and some people have mixed reviews on this, the idea that Spider Man did not get an intro. I was a little bit disappointed at first that Spider Man didn't get an intro, like a proper, like, hey, he was bit by a spider, here's this guy, here's why he's here, here's his family, here's what's going on.
Mhm.
But. And he just kind of showed up in Civil War. But. I don't know. I'm not sure if I was unhappy about it. I like the intros because it makes me a little bit more immersed during the movie. But when I think back to how wonderful Spider-Man 1, 6, 7, sorry, I don't know. The new Tom Holland, I'm not sure if I like. I think I like it. I think I loved it actually. If someone went back and said, okay, would you want to jam that in there? In retrospect, hell no. Keep that shit out of there. But I remember being on the fence about it when it came out. And I think for this one, they did the exact opposite of why people went away from this technique. Is the entirety of the first half of the movie, it felt like, was intro. And I liked some intro, like the beginning bits with little kid Richards and Thing. I liked that.
Yeah.
That was really good. I actually
Thing.
liked
Ben Grimm.
Ben Grimm. His character as a whole was fucking phenomenal. I think from start to finish, I'll take it back. I didn't like how he held on to the hate at the end of the movie. I I liked his character up until that, and I liked him at the end. But when he was in the transition of like just hating Reed Richards,
Hmm.
I didn't feel that was natural. I felt like it was a little bit weird when it's like, you know that he's been your best friend forever. He's not gonna like give you up. You know what I mean? Like he's not gonna betray you out of nowhere. And I get it. Maybe you could say, well, he had, family issues and maybe he had trust issues growing up with the kind of life he had or whatever. But I don't believe that either because that Reed is one of the people who is shown throughout the entire course of history. That's his number one.
Yeah, they made them best friends in this movie
Right.
since
So it's like, how
since
can you?
elementary school. Yeah.
Yeah. How can you say that you can't do that? Like he would have at least listened to him, right? Like
Yeah.
it was like, but then and maybe you were
He
maybe
did he did abandon him. He said, "I'll come back for you," and then like took off and never came back.
right. And it only been like what 2 years I think.
I think it was 1 year.
1 year, even less, and it's like so. It wasn't even like they were gone, or he was gone for like 15 years. It was a short enough time period that you could understand that he's on the run. And Ben had to be around for military talk. He had to have at least
Yeah.
heard. Matter of fact, they were hunting him. That's what also did me. You're talking to military guys who are like, yeah, we're gonna hunt down and get this motherfucker. And so he's on the run, and you think he's gonna come back and save you, like just like that? Like you already know he's running from the bad guys who have you hostage. So if he was against you, do you not think that it just didn't make sense to me? Maybe it's Ben's character. Maybe they tried to play him up to be a little bit less intelligent. I don't know, or a little bit more angry. Because he was
Yeah.
angry. He always seemed pretty angry as a guy. So maybe I could see that. Maybe he had
Johnny used to like
insecurities.
push his buttons, if I remember correctly.
Mhm.
That's Johnny,
Right.
Storm. He used to push his buttons. I think that's about it. He'd get
Right.
him a little angry, but not like he's not Hulk, right?
Right, and that's also what I don't like. I love this Ben Grimm. Let me make that clear. I love this character through and through the whole movie. But I do think it sucks that they removed a little bit of the Ben Grimm that I liked. The Ben Grimm that we got in the original. The Ben Grimm from there, when he had those scenes where he's just walking the street in a trench coat and like just talking to regular people and thinking about the state of the world, the state of himself. Well, this is back with like mutants and stuff and like our superhero unmaskings. I think it was Civil War.
Yeah.
He was always like this mediator. He was like this guy on the streets who understood the people's perspective on both sides because he had been on the Fantastic Four and he'd been in the high life, but he'd also stayed in the streets and talked to people. So he understood when they were rebelling and trying to save people. And he just was a confused kind of guy, but it's because he never wanted to make the wrong choice. He wanted to help people, but in his own way.
Yeah.
He was deep. He's a complex character. We didn't get too much of that, but we did get a very serious, not brooding, but like interesting, serious in a way because he was outside of the group, which made it nice.
Whoa, you're going.
Yeah, I think he was great, but I do think it sucks because you can't pick one. It was like I liked what we got, but it would have been cool to see the other one. But that's not a takeaway. It's just I don't know. He wouldn't have fit in that movie anyway. The movie didn't have enough time. If you would have put like the introspective, big politic, thinking about the universe, brooding Ben Grimm, he had no place in that movie. There wasn't enough time to even get Doctor Doom a proper role. So it was like fair enough. And then what do you call it? On to I guess we'll do character analysis.
Well, I was
go
gonna
ahead.
mention that.
Sorry, I
I was
cut
gonna
you
mention
off.
the actors. Actually, I was gonna that like each of the actors. I didn't know who was in this. I knew Reed Richards, the guy who playing Reed.
Right.
I knew he was in this, and I knew Miles Teller and Michael B. Jordan, Anthony's favorite actor.
Right.
I knew those two were in it. I don't think I've seen. I might have seen him, Ben Grimm's actor in something before, but I know I've seen Reed Richards, Johnny Storms, and I was surprised by who was playing Doctor Doom. I didn't even know Doctor Doom was supposed to be in this movie.
Really?
Yeah, because I
Lost him. One more time. Technical difficulties. We will continue the recording. Stay tuned for a commercial break. Ba-da, dun, 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 dun. Good evening. The 5 o'clock news. It says he's still on the call, so we're going to play it by ear. Get it? Play it by ear, but we can't hear him? Genius. Genius, absolute genius.
yeah, Doctor Doom. I didn't know he was gonna be in the movie. Like I thought he was gonna be like a post-credit scene. I didn't even know who the villain was gonna be.
Right.
But yeah, there was the actor who was playing Doctor Doom was a fantastic actor. I love him. So
Did you
very
like him
unfortunate.
as Doctor Doom?
Not really, no.
Okay.
I would have liked to see him as Doctor Doom though. I think he could have pulled it off, but the script didn't. That's another thing is like teenagers,
right?
and I'm not. Doctor Doom is a fucking like 35-year-old, 40-year-old
Right.
man.
I had that same issue as well. That I was like,
I
Doctor
know the
Doom is
actors
not
weren't teenagers. The actors were like in their 20s.
right, but they look young
But
enough.
yeah,
Like Reed Richards, for example. I don't like little baby boy Reed Richards. Like, I'm not saying he had to be ancient, but I like at least strong featured Reed Richards with like a strong chin and like maybe the little gray hair strips. I don't know. I'm just kind of spoiled on like my image of Reed Richards and Doctor Doom in particular, of also being the same age. So like that was kind of weird for me. Yeah, it was. I think the one actor who did it in the first one was perfect. Um, he had the perfect like young old look. Um, I don't know what actor that was, but I think he did a great job as far as pulling off the age really well. Same thing for Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom was well casted. I think the first one was actually much better in comparison, but maybe it was just much better in general. I can't remember like the plot too much though, so maybe it wasn't that good. I think the casting was good though. Well, stay tuned for quick commercial breaks. Uh, nope, nothing still. I said that as if you were saying something at that moment. I didn't actually hear anything, but I just assumed you were talking and doing tests. It's like, well, let me respond to him this way he knows. Which is weird, because now he left. But I'm wondering if when he comes back, he will have heard me the entire time. Maybe I'm the problem. Did we ever think about that? Maybe it's me. No, I have 3 bars. I can actually see it. In the bottom left of Discord, they give you like a little bar meter. I have 3 green bars. Voice connected. Can't be me.
I'm back. I think we're good.
Okay, we're back. This is it.
Is it? Yeah. All right. That's all, folks.
Right. Yeah, no, I don't like little teenage baby Reed Richards or
Yeah, I don't like teenage
um,
Doctor Doom.
right.
Uh,
I thought
yeah,
Emma
Johnny's
Frost.
supposed to be young, kind of immature, but
I thought not Emma Frost. Fuck's her name?
Sue Storm.
Invisible Woman.
Yeah,
I
Sue Storm.
thought she was fucking just annoying. I don't know if it was her face or like, and they
I think it
introduced
was her
her.
smugness. I don't know.
She had that whole stupid thing where they tried to make her mysterious. She was like, patterns. I know patterns. Shut up, you stupid lady. You don't know anything about anybody. Like, like
He recognizes patterns.
it was so stupid. In the beginning, it was already stupid, but then they brought it back. No one
That's
in the world.
how she found Reed.
Jesus Christ, dude. That shit was so bad, dude. No one in the world can find this man. We have 16 government agents and hundreds of billions of dollars at our
I
disposal.
will say one of the things I did like was when he was in hiding and he like morphed his face.
No, that was sick. That was
Yeah.
so sick, dude. No, that was a good one.
Yeah.
That was a really good one.
Yeah, so I kind of want to talk about the stuff I did like before we start just bashing into it.
Well, there were some things. I definitely like. There was. I don't know everything I liked about it. There was also things I didn't like. I mean, I mentioned how much I love Ben Grimm, so he was really good.
Yeah.
so
Yeah, I
it's
liked
been
him.
mostly good stuff.
When he
I
was
think.
like crying out for help, I think that was like.
Yeah, dude. Because you gotta think he didn't know what the fuck was going on. Like he was see his hard ass character get super soft all of a sudden. I was like, holy shit! You know he's scared.
Yeah.
Because he didn't even want to be there necessarily. Like,
Yeah.
it was like I'm just going here
friend
for
called
Reed.
him and said, "Hey man, I want you to come with me. I'm not
Right.
doing this alone. I want you to come with me."
Right. Nah, it was cool, man. I think his character was really well done. I liked Johnny Storm, but I didn't like some aspects. I really liked the character. He did a phenomenal job. His fucking as an actor, obviously we all know he's just phenomenal as an actor. But
Yeah.
he did it so good. Like the moments when he would talk shit to his dad and everything, I loved it all.
Yeah.
The only problem I didn't like was how he was written, because he had this whole thing where I'm a rebellious piece of shit, and the punishment was coming to work with them. Sure, but he was a fucking super genius or some shit. Like, it didn't make any sense. He's driving around like a busted ass Honda, street racing for money.
He built it himself, Trey.
Again, a busted ass Honda, and then his dad takes it and says, "With my money." With what? The $1,000 you lent him? Like, and then he was a super genius. So I'm like, if this motherfucker truly was as smart as his siblings, there's no fucking way he wouldn't have tons of money.
Yeah.
Even if he was just conning motherfuckers out of it.
I guess that was his like wasted potential or something. That,
Right. I'm like, if this motherfucker was that smart though, nah, he'd have a sick ass car that he built himself from swindling motherfuckers out of like card games and shit, and like using his super brain to like analyze
Yeah,
shit and like fucking just con. He was a con artist. I think he would have been a perfect con artist. And then if his car would have got impounded and stolen for street racing or whatever, and his dad would have
yeah.
had the opportunity, oh, can we get? We're gonna give him his car back. Are you the father? Can you sign for it? No, he's not getting it back. That would have been really good because he would have been pissed off because his money can't save him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
no
yeah,
amount
yeah.
of money can save. That was like I put 200 grand in that car. I built it myself. Or something. Yeah, and you're not going to see it until X, Y, and Z. And then he has to come help him at the station.
Then he had to be like 17 years old.
Um,
Because you, yeah.
what do you
Uh,
mean?
because yeah, if you get your car
Oh,
gets
you got to know. I
impounded,
mean,
you,
write some way in there, right? Like a way that his offense was so big and he wouldn't have the money to get it out or whatever. I mean, find some
oh,
way where
okay,
he would have needed his dad either monetarily or legally
yeah,
to cause sort of like a bond issue. For cars, you can make that shit up. People will believe it. I would have believed it. If there was like a car bond and you had to have
yeah.
someone sign for it for good credit or some stupid shit, I don't give a fuck. But, but it would have been better if he would have been introduced in that way because it wasn't believable that he was a super genius driving a busted ass Honda and for fucking street. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't for money, but usually races are
It
for
was for
money or
racing.
some sort of
It
prize.
was for racing. He
Um,
wants the glory. He's Johnny Storm.
I guess. But after that though, his introduction. I don't know, his introduction to the team was too happy, buddy. I lied.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's hard to say. Because when he came in and Doom was a straight dickhead, and because he knew that Storm was a dickhead and didn't want to be there, which I was like, yeah, he is. And then he's like, actually, hey, you need some help, buddy? Just to spite Dr. Doom. That shit was funny. And then obviously it's his sister. They're going to have their problems, but he's going to be friendly with her. So then him and Reed kind of hit it off, but it was off the back of like him trying to get one over on fucking Doom, knowing that Johnny was going to be a dickhead while he was there because he didn't want to be there in the first place.
yeah.
So it was, but they never brought that dickheadedness back. Kind of, he was just buddy buddy within the next couple of montages.
I thought he was. I didn't really think he was being a dickhead to Doctor Doom. I thought it was trying to establish that hey, he dated. This guy dated Johnny's sister, so they're like kind of close. I thought that's what
Oh,
they're like. That's
I thought no, I
yeah,
thought it was the opposite. That he dicked over his sister and he didn't like him. And they had bad blood.
yeah. No, I didn't read that at all into
I
that.
see. Um, maybe it checks out. I mean, there was just a lot of animosity. I guess if
Yeah,
it was more in the beginning, it felt like it was more than just
yeah,
casual, like haha, we're just joking kind of thing. It felt like there was something serious on both sides.
mm, yeah,
I guess you could read that either way.
yeah.
Which
Exactly.
is why it's funny. The last talk we had too about some other shit. It was like, yeah, I read this is this. You're like, I didn't read that at all. Shit, that's crazy. Like it's kind of how it goes. It's like, well, fuck yeah, I didn't read this, but I read
Yeah,
this, and it's like that's why movies, I guess,
yeah.
are good.
People interpret things. So yeah,
Um,
yeah.
that's why when I wrote my books, I never once gave you characters inner dialogue. You don't know why they did that shit. You're not supposed to know why they did that thing. You're supposed to say they did it for this reason, and then debate it for the rest of eternity.
Yeah.
But like,
That's how people do things. That's why people get mad whenever you get spoon fed shit all the time.
right,
Uh,
and that's what makes a good character. Which is all. Also, again, this is why I think Johnny Storm's character in that movie was fucking great. And then even when he joined their side, it was fucking perfect. It was literally perfect
all their
because
characters were well. I didn't really. I wasn't a big fan of Reader Sue in
no,
this
Reader
one.
Stu, they were
Uh,
both the weakest. I love the dad. The dad was really good. Um,
Yeah,
and I loved it because too he was naive, and even Doom told him that. This is why I say Doom needs to be older. But even Doom was telling him, yeah, no, they're gonna do this and they're gonna do that, which made his character feel really weird. I get it that he's super smart and he's arrogant because of that, but the
yeah.
power. I don't know. I guess it's the position of power that he
I
had.
feel like actually, if I'm looking back on it, I'm sorry I interrupted you, but I think
Yeah,
that
good.
the guy who played Doom would have been a better Reed Richards
Yes.
because he's very like arrogant and thinks he's smarter than everyone, and that's kind of what Reed Richards is like.
Right. He's
Uh,
nice, but he's still headstrong. Like,
yeah, he's still like, yeah, I know what you're saying, but I'm right. Like
right.
that's how he is. So
Right,
uh,
right. No, I can agree with that. And yeah, because this Reed was just too much of a bitch.
yeah,
Like he was just a soft ass bitch. Even his chin. I know you shouldn't talk about somebody's looks, but I like Reed needs to be strong.
that
um,
guy's pretty strong. I don't know. Have you seen that boxing movie he's in?
no, I guess it was just
Uh,
maybe his
is he
acting was
him?
that
I
good.
could be wrong if it's not Mike Teller. I'm sorry. uh, he's in that War Dogs movie. That was pretty. Yeah.
Maybe yeah. So I have to see him in other roles then. But yeah, overall, yeah, Sue was probably the weakest character for me. Not because and at the end she didn't do poorly as an actor, but I think she just did poorly as like with the way she was written.
Yeah.
And the tension in those movies was really like it was weird sometimes, very weird, because like she was just pissed. Like in half the scenes that she was in, she looked actively pissed.
Yeah, I just
And
yeah, they never really described why she was so
right,
pissed.
all the time. And I loved it because Johnny was super happy. She should be wary, right? I liked. This is
Yeah.
why I say I think it was really well done. And it's obviously I'm not, I have personal bias, but I think Jessica Alba did a perfect job because she would get snooty in those movies, and she would be very much like, no, excuse me. But a lot of times she was wary and concerning and strong when she needed to be. She was kind of a great character to support the other ones.
I have to go
This
back and
one,
watch those. I haven't seen those since I was a little kid. So,
right?
uh,
I thought she did a pretty good job. But then looking at this, she was just pissed all the time. But I liked she was supposed to be the balance, I think, to Johnny Storm, and that's what they were doing. But they did it poorly with the way that she was written, because he was all about it. He was like, "Yeah, I have insane powers. I can go fight bad guys. They give me all the food and drink and water. I'm like, what do you mean? They've given us the greatest life we could ever ask
but
for. I don't
I
want these
thought
powers to go
I thought
away."
what they were doing with it was he was like trying to find purpose, right? And he was like,
Right,
you know, I got these powers. I finally have a direction that I need to go, that I can go in, and
right.
that's
Even
what.
his dad told him that. He was like, "You're a fucking bum racing cars. Do something with your life."
Yeah, yeah.
And then he becomes a fucking military hero. That's not good enough. Don't do that anymore. What?
Because he's killing people, Trey.
Yeah,
It's
right,
bad.
dude. No. Um, that shit was so good. Like when they wanted to remove the powers too, that was the biggest thing. They didn't even come at him and say, "Hey, is what you're doing wrong? Do you care about being in the military or being a gun for hire?" They didn't ask him that. They just said, "You have powers. We need to remove those." It's like what? With no context. Like, and I don't think in the in the movie, they actually showed a scene where they went and said, "Are we happy with what we're doing?" Like for Ben and Johnny, right? This is again where I think Ben is really good as a medium for thought. Ben was out there killing motherfuckers even way before Johnny Storm was.
Yeah.
They put him on the job quick.
Yeah, 'cause he was mad as fuck about what's his face
Right.
leaving.
They put him on the job quick and he was just killing people. So if they would have had a conversation about like, Storm would have been like, "Yeah, this is so cool, right, bud?" And then he would have been like, after like 6 months or a year, he would have had time to be like, "Nah, I don't know," or been like brooding about it, or been like, "Yeah, maybe it's not as easy as you think," or something. He'd be like, "What are you talking about?" And then he would have softened up, and they would have had a conversation about who they are and what they're doing, and do they want to be here, or is it just happenstance? And then
No
it could
time.
have
We gotta
taken
introduce Doctor Doom. We gotta have the big fun of fight.
right, and that's what sucks because Doom, the whole movie was just set up, but they had all these strings that could have been better.
I definitely like. I think it would have paid off. I don't need like start with them in college, already working on the project, and kind of like build the relationships there,
Right.
and then like cut back to the childhood scenes after like during I don't know, after they got their powers, they talk. They either I don't know. I don't like to talk about stuff, so I don't know.
Right. Well, I think to me they could have not the bad guy, right? The bad guy didn't need to be Doom, and they like you were saying, you didn't
Definitely
even know he
not.
was
Yeah,
going to
but
be in
that's
it.
a,
They
yeah,
could
but
have.
Fox didn't have the rights to a lot of things. I don't know
Well, no, not
exactly
even.
what.
I'm saying even if it wasn't even another hero, even if it was
Yeah.
something, and I know they would. Maybe you're not. Let me take it back. They would have
Eh,
gotten extreme backlash if it wasn't Doom, or if it wasn't somebody from their universe. But for me,
yeah.
I like the idea that the bad guy could
They
have
have
been
more villains than Doom.
the bad
They
guy
could
could have
definitely
been
do
the
it different.
government.
As long as you tease Doom in the next in the next movie, like they
Right.
definitely could have worked on this machine with Doom, right? And Doom could have went with them to that other world where they got their powers,
Right.
and he got left there, and then like the end of the movie after they're fixing their lab or whatever, and then they're fixing the portal because they still want to use that world for I don't know all the energy in it.
Right.
They open that portal, and then there's like a post credit scene, and it's the guy who was Doom,
Right.
right, in that world. That could have been the sequel. That could have been the second movie rather than
Right, right, and that would have
yeah,
been pretty good, I think, over because they did rush his plot line too. Not
yeah,
rushed. He did want to destroy everything since the beginning, so his motivations were very clear.
yeah.
I guess he
He was like
wasn't
a he was
necessarily
like a
rushed.
yeah, he was like a dude who was mad at. He's like talking shit about people, like
Right,
humanity in general.
corporate
So
America.
mhm.
But yeah, I think overall, because the conflict that played up with them in regards to their situation,
Oh, but before we move on from Doom, yeah, there's
I
a
want to get
big
back to Doom. I guess
there's a
eventually.
big leap from like humans suck to I want to kill all humans.
Right,
Those people exist. Those people like I work with those people. Like
right,
a
and he
couple,
would
yeah, a
have
couple.
known. He knows who's good and bad and ugly. Like he trusted Reed. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He hated the
he had
business
fun with
guys.
Reed. He liked Johnny. Yeah, so
Like
like
he would have came back and killed all the business
he
guys
didn't
and then
like the
took over.
military, the business guys, and uh
So his character killing the business guys and taking over and saying, "Join me," in the second movie. Perfect. He kills the business guys, takes over the base, and says, "Join me." And they say, "No, you just killed all those people." He was like, "They were enslaving you." Again, why I think I like the idea, and this is how you play
Also,
on the
Doctor Doom
drama.
doesn't ever get his powers from like the same way they do, which is always weird to me. Like, I think, and yeah, in the comics, he already like studied magic and shit like that before he
Right.
even went to college. Uh,
Yeah, well, that's what his thing was. He was supposed to be the
yeah,
hybrid. His dad was a scientist, his mom was a gypsy,
yeah,
or like a witch, but that
yeah,
was pretty much it. He had all the magical powers from her, and then he had all the science from his dad, and he was supposed to combine them to make it
and,
perfect.
and he did.
And he did. And
That's
then
why
he
he's so
went to a
cool.
Tibetan monk and then ironed himself with an impenetrable fucking crazy magic infused armor.
Yeah.
That shit was crazy. I was like, why would you do
Why
that?
can't we get that Doctor Doom? Where's
Right?
that guy?
Tibetan monk, infinite magical power armor.
Tibetan monk, Full Metal Alchemist, fucking.
There's not enough intro.
The same for the second movie.
Right?
The first movie has all the intro, the origin story, and then maybe the Mole Man or something like that.
Right. Well, don't make
that-
it super. Like, hear me out. Don't make it super. I think if you, because this is important. I think the emotional tension, as a storyteller, the emotional drama and tension needs to coincide with the big bad.
Mhm.
It's just how you have to do it, or else you're gonna have too many strings in all directions and things don't play out the way they're supposed to, or the movie's cluttered, or you just do like a Marvel movie and make it 5 hours long. You have to do something. But I think if the military was the cause of contention, right?
Yeah,
Since the beginning, the military and like the government was the problem, and they played on that throughout the entire show or throughout the whole movie, and it was good. And then even into the ending scenes when Doom was already gone, the military was still the problem.
yeah,
Have them find a way to like take their powers or something, or have them literally like have something happen, and Storm is like, "Well, okay, I'm gonna go do this," and they're like, "No, you can't," and he was like, "What? I'm on the team. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm not on the mission or nothing. I'm gonna go here and go talk to somebody, or I'm gonna go spend some time with my friends or something." They're like, "No, you can't," and then they enslave his ass, and then he finds out what Reed was trying to tell him or whatever, or he finds out, what Storm was warning him about, whatever, he finds that out really quick in a hurry, and it's like, what? And then they're all on lockdown trying to fight back, and they have like mechs or something, or some easy cop out. We control your powers, and we have other sorts of people. I don't know, something. They have like an army of rockmen, something. It's easy to like say we stole your powers, we have Gundams, we have something. Give them something to fight. And then they fight against the military, but then Doom comes back in the end, like you're saying, or Doom is not even involved. I would be cooler with that.
That's what I was saying.
And then Doom is not even involved, but he hears about them and their powers and their new magic or whatever we're gonna call it. And then they interact with him in number 2, and then he finds out they're enslaving people or whatever, or let's say the government had ties and were enslaving other magical people from his gypsy people, because that's his whole thing, is he loves his people. I can't remember what the name of the country is, but anyone from there.
Latveria. They actually
Latveria.
mentioned it.
Yeah. Anyone from there.
I think they tried to establish that he was already problematic. They like mentioned they're like, "Oh, I see you have Doctor Doom on your
Right,
team."
we don't want him
And-
here. He's a rebel. What is
Yeah.
it? He burned down all your shit and left in a huff.
Yeah.
And it was like, but he's the one I need or something. And I like that. So yeah, if let's say you introduced him with the military already, they already had incursions with him, trying to stop him from using magic or control his magic in Latveria. Then they become involved in number 2, and then Doom tries to take over them completely because they did something to him, and now they have to conflict. And then you set up a second movie pretty well. And then the first one, all of the emotional turmoil and the struggle between those two and the fight between your new powers and what does it mean and are you being controlled and all this other, it just plays out much better. And it just and the bad guy is the same guy you've been
trying to set up the heroes and Doom and all that is just it seems like it's too much for them. They definitely would have it would have better benefited them more if they spent more time with Johnny and Ben and Sue and Reed. They need to redo Ben Sue and Reed.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, they were. I didn't like their characters.
No, and it sucks because and she just didn't. I don't know. She just wasn't likable, and it's because she was just so angry all the time. Like,
yeah,
and it's just I don't know. It just sucks. But I think
Tracy
and
patterns.
Reed. Right, that scene, dude. It's very rare. And just like movie critics and people, they're all dickheads, and they're just like, yeah, this is preposterous. I literally laughed out loud when I saw this joke of a scene. Like, they're just dickheads. I never subscribe to shit like that, because I'm like, that's not how you really felt. In the moment, I did generally, like, laugh. I was like, bro, you're not serious. I said it out loud. I said, you're not serious. And she goes, I'm the only woman who can find him. Patterns. I'm like, stop. Please stop, dude. They had multiple sightings of this fucker. You have this and this. You have well government trained people, and then it was like, oh, was it Captain Nemo? Got him. Like, what? Stop, dude. Like, that's just so stupid. Like, it was just laughably dumb. I'm like, I guess it made it worse too, because like they were trying to make her character interesting and cool, but she had just been angry as fuck the whole show, and their relationship didn't exist as well. Like,
Yeah,
if they
no.
had a relationship, it would have been cooler or more interesting, because she would have known him intimately, and she wouldn't have had this whole stupid patterns thing.
Yeah.
But they didn't have any of that. They didn't even have a relationship. That's also why I thought it was stupid. They even put the whole scene in there where Doom is like, "Hey, come here. Yeah, you're getting a little friendly with Sue, don't you think?" And it's like he even blew it off. He was like, what are you talking about? We finished the project." Even he just blew him off, and I was like, "Yes, that doesn't exist." I'm like, either the writers are trying to force this, and like they're putting his
They
character
were like,
in.
clearly these people don't know that they're together, so we need to tell them somehow. Here you go.
Right.
This is how
I don't know.
we're gonna
Maybe
have
that was
Doctor
it.
Doom point out that they're being friendly.
Right. I thought that was just terrible. If anything, it makes a joke at the writers. I'm like, so are you trying to force this to me, or are you trying to make a joke that haha they're not together, but you think they're supposed to be together? Was that meta? I don't know what they were going for, but
I don't know. Maybe
that
they're gonna
scene
try to
fell
make
flat.
Sue a strong, independent woman. Uh,
That movie's too old for that, but maybe.
no,
I mean, they
10-15? No, definitely within that realm.
maybe because they did have Michael B. Jordan, and she was adopted, so they
Yeah,
had to force a way to have black strong actors, and then make sure she was there too.
they're canceled instantly.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird though, and that's the thing is,
I
I
don't
think,
care. I
yeah, no,
honestly,
if it
I didn't care about the adoption thing. I think that's
right.
fine. It's
No, I
like,
loved it, dude.
yeah.
If that was like if that was SJW propaganda,
Also, she was adopted, I think, in the
yeah, that's what I meant. Because the
Oh,
dad, that
okay.
was his
Yeah,
dad. She was the one
yeah,
who was adopted. But if that was SJW propaganda, I couldn't tell because it was really well done.
yeah.
Now her
No, I'm
actor
just saying that,
sucked.
they probably might have been trying to get her to be like the strong, independent woman, like because I think everyone always just calls her, that's Reed Richards' wife. No one really calls her Invisible Girl or
Right.
anything like that. So uh,
Maybe.
they just call her Sue Richards, and they just know that she's the mother of I forgot Reed Richards' son is the name, but whatever.
Franklin,
Yeah,
the most
he becomes
powerful
really
man, the
important.
most powerful fucker in the entire multiverse or some shit.
Yay.
He's like top
Um,
10 or something. I was like, really? I didn't read that story, but it was pretty wild when I seen like tidbits of it.
yeah.
But no,
I
I
think
think it
Kang.
sucks because that's what her character does. That's the
This could be
problem.
this could be a spoiler, but yeah, I think Kang is like descended from Reed Richards too.
Oh no way.
Yeah,
Cause I know
could be
some
wrong.
about Kang. I know he's from the future. I know that him and Thanos go back and forth. That like Thanos is always number one in every future, and like Kang knows that. So in like all futures, essentially, he tries to make himself the right hand man, or like make it so Thanos doesn't kill him in some way. So
Yeah,
because like Kang wants to rule his. That's why he's Kang the Conqueror. He wants to rule his
yeah.
own section. So
His
he
name
got
is
cuts.
Nathaniel Richards.
Oh,
Uh,
I see.
there you go.
Well then, who's Franklin?
Oh, well, Franklin's their son.
Oh, who's Nathaniel?
He's
Oh,
their descendant from the future, and
oh,
that's
that's
Kang.
Kang.
Yeah,
Got you. Okay. But yeah, he just always wants to rule his own little section, so he like kind of
yeah,
cuts deals and shit with Thanos and to not fuck him up. Um, I want to say he had dealings with in some of the storyline for the God Butcher, maybe. I can't remember. I haven't watched or read anything on King Conqueror in a while. But anyway, short story
I'm
long.
not big.
Side story.
We gotta get one of those in there.
Um, but yeah, no, I
Cedric.
think that yeah, maybe you were right. Maybe they were trying to force the SJW diversity, and that's why it was done well when it didn't feel forced and it was well written and the actors did a good job, like in the
Yeah,
case of
yeah,
Black Johnny Storm. But then in the case of I'm a Strong Independent Woman, they completely ruined the entire thing because her dichotomy of the entire group was soft. That was the point. You
yeah,
have this unstoppable brain who doesn't listen to anybody and keeps moving forward even if it will destroy the whole world potentially. He's like, no, I'm smart enough. I can keep going. It's not going to end up bad. Then you have a hothead brother who just like does whatever, and then you have the Thing who's just like distant sometimes and like just doesn't necessarily open up and doesn't really like will just be snappy if he needs to be. And it's like so she's the one. She's the one who can calm or like try to make Reed see focus. She's the one who's close enough to Johnny to
yeah,
talk shit and can snap him out of it. And she's the one who's also level-headed enough to
yeah,
speak to Ben. So it's like she did that. That's what she does. It's
yeah.
why she exists as a character, not as a woman or
Yeah,
man.
I don't think people understood that.
No, they never
Well,
do.
also that's a very subtle um position or like personality trait that people don't really go and go. I want to be that person.
Right.
I want to look I look up to that person. I want to be like them, right?
Right. It's like being a
So
healer in a video game.
yeah,
No one.
exactly. No one wants to be a healer.
Not one.
Uh,
You won't find a
oh,
game. No, it is because it's not flashy, it's not memorable, but because they don't understand storytelling or life.
yeah,
Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's a philosophical thing. Because I like people read comics, they like comics, and they always love the cool guys, the big action. They're all the big wow. But no one ever talks about these characters and what they mean to the overarching plot and how like weaker air quotes characters oftentimes make everything possible, or they're the ones who were the most critical in these moments, who had a level head or whatever. It's like those are the reasons why even sometimes the whole world doesn't end, and they never get credit in a way.
yeah,
And I think that's yeah, it's fair to say like
yeah.
I think that's the problem. And if you guys are listening, and you have questions, should I go watch this? And if we don't mention if you think you should watch it or shouldn't, which we should do every time, which we forgot about because we kind of wrapped up most things about Fantastic Four.
We didn't know. We still talk about.
Um, I think we have a couple.
The ending of the movie.
Right, yeah, we never went over the ending. We went over most characters, the relationship. We talked about how we could do it better. Yes. So let's actually get back to that. So we can wrap
Yeah,
this up.
let's do that.
So we short story long. It's almost been 2 hours. Cause actually, this recording is an hour, but we had audio issues, which is a previous recording that was already like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And we kind of wrapped up most of those talks, ending with Venom, and I'm gonna go watch that, and we can talk about that later. Actually, maybe do like a little
Ooh.
a sub episode, maybe next week or whenever.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think the ending of the movie was because it was so rushed was completely terrible. Not terrible. That's a big lie. It's just I always say that and this is what again this is why those dickheads come out. They don't catch themselves. Those media dickheads, their gut reaction tells them that, and they never second guess themselves. They just say, "Yeah, it was terrible," and then they continue to critique it. It's like, well, no, it wasn't terrible. The ending was actually pretty interesting, kind of, but it was too short. Like them working together and being weaker than him, but realizing that they have to work together and form a team that they never had been a team before. They're learning how to become a team on the fly, so they all don't die. I like that. But that's better for a mid-movie fight. A mid-movie fight when the big bad guy becomes the big bad guy and he whoops all your asses as you're like trying to form this half-ass team. That's a smack in the face, and that's what puts things in a bad spot. It's what puts the world into dark mode. And then it's like we have to come back from this, and then you learn to be a team because of the failure you had trying to be a team on the fly. So that kind of was lost in a 2-minute fight. And maybe it was longer, obviously.
You make the first movie about them working together as a team, and then you make the second movie about this guy kicking their ass, even though they work together as a team.
Even better, yeah. So you could even have that happen 3 times. I know it's rehashing shit, but yeah. You could have them, figure that out.
Money.
You could figure it out in the first movie and then have it be smacked up again in the second. And it's like, what? We did the thing. And that's interesting because people feel like that. I think and it sucks too because these stupid literary guys, they just look at it and they're like, oh, well, it's just stupid. You're just rehashing old plot lines. Yes, that's good. Mm-hmm. Because you know how many people go to like the NBA finals and think, oh, we're going to repeat next year. And just get smacked the fuck up because they didn't realize the only reason they went was for these reasons or whatever. Or not just NBA, anything. Pick anything where someone does something amazing. And they don't improve, or then they reach a brick wall later in life. Because it's like, yeah, you're going to be the best at some point and then be smacked up again. You don't want power creep. You don't want to become DBZ. But that's what makes things interesting if you don't reuse it too much, like too many. If you don't reuse it too much, it's interesting. So yeah, between a 2-movie spread, that could be good. And their teamwork had be questioned multiple times after they said, no, we got it. And then show and play that up. And again, this is why I say the big bad should play into the insecurities between the team or the character or whatever, to where the big bad has been putting thoughts in their head that you're better than them, you're stronger than them, you're carrying this team. And then that's sort of the subplot is their relationship together in number 2, because they're all living their own life. They don't go to training anymore. They don't do anything anymore. They're kind of split up because they're all famous, because they're all heroes. Sort of a Rocky theme. And again, you can point all media to other media. Every story has already existed in some fashion. Yeah. But you can play off that. So then in number 2, it comes back around. So yeah, definitely I think that they were trying to, in the last scene, they tried to establish this whole team thing, and it just kind of fell flat for me. And then obviously Doom, I didn't like Doom at all. Doom was
definitely felt really rushed. Like I was like, it felt like the movie just ended. Like, here you go, it's over.
Right.
Also, like, what was his powers? He can control electricity, but he can also create giant whirlwinds of rocks.
He can also shoot bullets through your head, or crush your head from the inside out. Or
yeah, I was
No,
Yeah,
they didn't
no.
explain it at all, and I get it because Doom has air quotes magic. Like
Yeah.
his powers literally have never been explained ever.
Yeah.
Um,
He knows magic. He
so
literally
it's
just knows magic.
but he does anything he wants with it in a way. Um,
Yeah.
he has I'm infinitely impenetrable armor, and he can energy project and fly and read minds. Maybe I don't know. He has also been shown to have a really strong mind, so he can resist mind
Yeah.
control. So it's
Yeah.
like he has telepath powers. Maybe we don't know. I guess it's but that's
He has a
because
lot
it's
of powers.
magic. It's like
Yeah, he's got a lot
saying
of magic powers. Yeah.
it's like saying what powers does Doctor Strange really have? Motherfucker, anything.
I
That's
don't
the
know,
whole
but
point.
I've never like watched a Doctor Strange movie and been confused. I don't know, like or the like either the new one, the old one, or the Infinity War or Endgame. I've
Right.
never been confused by anything. They always like show his powers in the movie and they don't explain it, but they make it easy to understand.
It's
Uh,
consistent, would you say?
yeah.
And I think that's for me why it's like that's why it's okay
Like, why
because
doesn't he just do that? Why don't he just do the brain melty to the superheroes?
I don't know. Who
Like, if you're
knows?
gonna have this brain melt power, why does it not work on the superheroes? Oh, they have plot armor. Okay.
Right. And that's a big deal. And for stuff like that, this is again where like, and I'm glad you brought that up because what you're saying is like a true critique, I guess. But I ignore that or give it passes in some
Yeah.
situations because I understand
Yeah.
that you want characters to be strong, and if they did what they
Yeah.
were supposed to, there would be no plot.
Agreed.
And I brought this up with Jameson about One Piece, and we won't talk too much spoilers because that's a sacred topic. But Sea Prism Stone was a big deal for me.
Spoilers.
Because I
That gets
was
introduced in like post. Wait, no, it doesn't. Hold on.
well, Sea Prism Stone. They don't know what that means. And I won't go into too
Spoilers.
much detail, but I think sometimes Sea Prism Stone is a cop out. Um,
True.
but
Like
I'm like,
kryptonite.
and it's so well, I guess it is a spoiler at this point, but it's like the kryptonite, and it's like, okay, so I'm cool with it. I like it as a device that is introduced because you have to fight back against these people, and you found a way to do it. I'm
I don't
cool
feel
with
like
that.
Seas Prism's not a spoiler, but
Um,
yeah.
it's
But
hard to
like
say.
it.
I just try to be respectful.
How do you keep tension when a person can just fade into a certain element
Right,
whenever like they're never gonna be imprisoned
right.
ever.
It's true. How do how do you stop Kitty Pryde
So
from?
when you make a person have a certain ability and you can't do anything to them, then it loses all tension. Like that
Right,
person will never be killed. That person will never be arrested. That person will never be in handcuffs, which is cool for a villain, but it doesn't make sense in the world.
right.
Um,
And that's the thing too. Most of those characters they have to be written with a moral compass, or a get out of jail free card. Listen, I'm not even going to Marvel Snap right now. We can do that off the books because we got to get finished our endings. We
so
went to powers. It was Doctor Doom's powers.
yeah.
And I think yeah, his powers
Short story long.
yeah, short story long. Back to Marvel or back to Fantastic Four. The
It's still
ending.
Marvel.
Back to Marvel as we haven't been there. The yeah, the ending was definitely rushed. I think like you said, and it did the
Yeah.
tension, the whole them building teamwork. It all fell flat, and it was too cataclysmic. It was literally out of nowhere. World-ending cataclysm in the last
No,
5 minutes.
they mentioned that in the beginning of the movie. Whenever what's her face said you almost created a black hole in your garage, it would have killed the Earth.
That was the
Remember?
joke, though. That was the tension of what he was doing. That wasn't.
Yeah, yeah.
That was not to
setup.
set it up to bring. No, stop! Don't you dare! That was not the setup. And
Double duty. It was a joke and it was the setup for the
Jeez.
finale.
No, dude, stop. If that was, get rid of those dudes. Because that was not, dude. Like,
Oh.
I don't know. Yeah, it just felt bad. I think it was too soon, too quick, or too. And if that was the setup and they were trying to do that, I'll give them credit in the sense that okay, you did prepare us in some sense for that. But I thought that was the preparation. That was the fear for the initial trip. That was the fear for the initial build. That was that fear, not the big bad guy's master plan. It just, I mean, but it coincided, I guess. Doctor Doom knew that stuff. I don't know. Overall, it just sucked because they're gonna fix it. That was the issue.
Yeah.
They're gonna fix it, and they're gonna fix it by whooping his ass real quick. Like
Yeah.
that was. It's like, well, you knew they were gonna fix it in Avengers. It was like, yeah, but we didn't know what was going on until Tony grabbed that missile. It was
Yeah.
like, I have no idea what's going on. Like, this isn't gonna work. Like it was a big deal. So like, no, the tension was very real. Even though they're gonna fix
Also,
it,
the scenery in that last fight was like just
bland.
dull. Yeah, it was dull. Like
Extremely
Naruto end of
bland.
the world, like fucking world, like the war arc, fucking dull.
Right. No, definitely very empty, very bland, lots of rocks. This sucks. And
Too
it's also that
dark.
sucks because you can't play on people's powers with that scenery.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the cool things about powers and superheroes is the scenery very much matters how creative you can get with your fighting. And they had none of that. And
Nope.
Doctor Doom also, I think my last critique, like I said, I think Doctor Doom looked kind of dumb. I think
No, 100%.
he looked appropriate. I won't
He
disagree
was
that for
stupid.
someone whose suit had melded with their body inadvertently or like
Yeah.
unexpectedly, yes, he looked perfect for the story. But he looks stupid as a bad
Does he have
guy.
the suit in the comics? I forgot.
I don't know.
Why does he have the metal outfit? He's like
Uh,
scarred, right? It's like
oh no, in
perfectly
the middle
scarred.
in the comics, he got he. I don't think he was scarred. I think he did that on purpose to get power. He went to the monks and was like, "Give me this suit so I can't be hurt anymore." Essentially.
Yeah.
Um, I think there's two stories. Maybe there's two stories because I think there was
There is
another
a
one.
few. Maybe someone got retconned
Yeah, because there's two
somewhere.
stories. There's another origin story where I think he's actually he's in a warehouse or in like a thing and he's working on something. And then while he's working on it, he's trying interdimensional travel. He was working on interdimensional travel and he was getting it to work. And then Reed shows up and he hates Reed at this point. And then Reed like sneaks into his place when he's gone. And because Reed had been trying to make friends with him for a long time. So then Reed sneaks in and he's like, "That's not going to work." And then because he catches him, he's like, "What are you doing in here?" Because he had been lying to everyone. He had been actually trying to infiltrate, I think, America for something. There was a reason underhandedly why he was there. But Reed thought that he was friends. So then he sneaks into his room, is about to catch this secret project, and he's like, "Oh, that's not how this works. You're going to do this wrong." And he tries to help him fix it. He's like, "Get out of here." It's because, Reed's not stupid, but he's so focused on the science, he doesn't even think twice about this as a bad guy. Uh, so then he goes to do it, and it was wrong. And then something goes wrong, and I think it does scar him or messes him up or burns
Yeah.
him or.
Yeah, he got scarred in some accident with Reed, and then he got fixed somehow in the comics, and then he got disfigured again through
Got you.
magic. So funny that he has magic powers and is also the super scientist, and he got disfigured by both.
Right, yeah, no, it's it's kind of funny. So yeah, he's had a couple different origin stories, I think. Um,
Okay.
but that's the one that is the other one that I know of, like that he was in the accident with his experiment, and then Reed was trying to help him, and then
Yeah.
that went wrong.
He was like, no, I know better.
Right, his story's pretty sad too. Like
Yeah.
he just kept getting screwed over, and people wanted his help, and like I think he finally
It's
had like a
Cass.
he kind of had like a girlfriend at one point,
Yeah,
and
Sue.
then like
He was dating Sue.
no, not Sue. It was someone else that I think
Oh,
he dead ass had to up and leave her like cold, just like gone. Because he couldn't do it anymore. He was like, this doesn't work, and I think he'd been trying to be happy, and it was all a lie. They had been setting his ass up just to make him go do what they wanted to, because they wanted him to be on this project. So they set him up with like a female at some point, and then they took her away, or so. It was wild. His backstory is super sad,
hmm
and that's why I think he loves his people so much. Even his people, like his people, were betrayed and killed by this evil king, essentially, and all the gypsies were just like treated so poorly. And like his dad was his mom was hunted down and killed for being a witch,
hmm
and like
Yep.
so much bad stuff happened to him. That's why his character is so interesting for a lot of people. Is the
That's why
fact that
he's kind of an anti-villain. I think that's the right term.
anti-villain, yeah, he's an anti-hero is more on the side of good, but is kind of a villain. He's
Yeah.
more on the side of bad, but's kind of a hero sometimes.
Yeah.
I'd say that term sounds right to me. But
I
yeah,
mean, he
like
saved the
he
world a few times, so like
right,
he's helped the good guys a few times.
right, and he just wants to protect his people. Oftentimes, the only motivation that's universally true is his uh, lust for power.
Yeah.
Because apparently there's a whole like super society of Reed Richards.
Yeah.
Like there's an entire interdimensional meeting of like thousands of Reed Richards or maybe hundreds, and they go out
Yeah.
and they just kill Doctor Doom in every multiverse once he acts up. And they were like the new Reed Richards was there, and he was like, "Why did you do that?" And he was like, "We have to," because he's never gonna stop, no matter what. His desperation for powers is something that's immutable. I guess it's never gonna change in any iteration of this character across any multiverse. And I was like, "Wow!" And then you see it though, even when he's like playing buddy buddy with Thanos, he just wants the gauntlet, and then he grabs it and then has to give it away. I think, or he gets knocked off. He couldn't handle it. I think in some sense. I can't remember. It's been forever. The whole Thanos story, but Doctor Doom was there, and I think he did end up taking it, or was about to take it at some point. But yeah, he just wants to be powerful and protect his homeland.
I'm
He's
reading
not.
this thing. Apparently, the Mads Mikkelsen, the guy who plays the bad guy in Strange,
Uh,
Doctor Strange, the first one, he auditioned for the role of Doom, and he said that the only thing he was asked to do during the audition was stretch his arms as long as he could make them.
really?
Yeah,
For Doom?
yeah.
Why does Doom have to stretch his arms?
Just to see, like I guess at some point in the movie, I don't recall, he does something like when he's doing the whole thing with the with all the rocks flying in the air and the destroying the thing. I think he outstretches his arms like yes, uh, or does some kind of pose or something. And that's all they were looking for, really. They just said we want a really big actor, but we don't care if he how he talks or how he acts. They just want to see if he looks cool with his arms stretched out.
Interesting. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, the bad guy wasn't. I don't want to say wasn't interesting, but
Yeah,
he was a good low level bad guy, I
yeah.
guess. Like he fit his role pretty perfectly. He was just a sniveling dude who wanted more power, being corrupted by Dormammu. And it's like if you gave him any more credence or prominence, or a better actor, a higher paid actor, or a more notable actor, I think it may have felt weird as the viewer. And this is what's always hard. Actors, certain actors, they can't do certain roles. I think because if you're gonna play a bad guy in a movie, for example, that guy in particular, if you put a very strong lead in there, it's gonna feel weird that he's being subservient. You know what I mean? Like if you put someone who's historically like a lead, like put Hugh Jackman as that bad guy, and he's being controlled by Dormammu, and he becomes like this power drunk slave.
Yeah.
No, people would be pissed. They'd be
Well,
fucking
he was kind of
pissed.
well, he was like what's it called? I think it works with even like a big name actor because uh he's supposed to be this dude who is like Strange. He's super intelligent and um and he's super talented in the mystic arts, but he's thinks he knows better than everyone and he thinks that this is the right course of action for all people everywhere and just proves that he's not the strongest or the smartest or uh
Huh.
he's not technically being controlled. He's doing it of his own volition. Uh,
Okay, never mind.
he's misguided.
Maybe it
Uh,
was a mistake then, because if you saw it that way, I saw it as the opposite. Maybe because of the actor and like his facial features and the way he looked while he was playing the character, he just looked like a bitch. He looked like he
I'll
was.
say Matt Mickelson is a really good actor though. I don't know.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he did a poor job acting. I'm saying the way
He
that his
wasn't like
character played.
he didn't have like the gravitas for
Yeah, he
you.
didn't have like when
Okay.
he was in scenes, I didn't like feel like I was like, oh man, this guy's super strong. As a
Yeah,
matter of
no,
fact, he was
I
running
definitely
away
didn't
half the
feel that,
time.
but I felt like that's what they were trying to go for.
Uh,
Um,
I guess for the story that you're trying to tell me, I guess that maybe that was the story. He needed to be stronger. He needed to be more imposing, more commanding, stronger. It always felt to me like throughout the movie, yeah, he was a student, not unlike the guy who lost his legs, much more advanced, but he was still just a regular student who went rogue and said, "I know everything." And then he, took a bunch of goons, a bunch of other like flunkies essentially. He took a bunch of other B plus or maybe B tier, C tier flunkies. They snuck in, stole that shit, which didn't make sense in the first place, given that maybe that's why you're saying it makes sense because he was supposed to be powerful. Then they took it and then they were just trying to be strong because they were weak in general. Because I think if you were truly strong, you would have never left. You know what I mean? Like, because
yeah,
Strange, for example, Strange is truly strong, and he never left because there was so much more strength to find. Whereas these guys didn't even portray half of the strength that it seemed like Strange was learning in his first year. So, and they did say he was an accelerated learner, but I think overall they had been there for X amount of years. So it's like it didn't make it made them look weak. The fact that they had to run away and think I'll get powerful from this book. It's like, bitch, you haven't even learned the other books. Like, you haven't even done these other books to go and try and read this book for free power. So I think, and then the actor, when he was in certain scenes, he didn't have this commanding, like, presence in the room, and he was just felt like, yeah, Dormammu's coming. That's all he would talk about. It's like, well, what about you? That's it. Didn't give me any credence to him being powerful, but I think I could see that if the character was a strong-willed actor, a lot of presence, and he was written a little bit differently in the scenes, and that he was super strong, and he said, yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna show you the true power. And it was like, but then he realized, oh shit, there's a bad guy on the other side of this. He's gonna take me over. And then he gets screwed in the end, and it would have been fair. It would have been good, I think, overall. And I'm not unhappy with how it was done this time. I think it
yeah.
was done. I think it was done fine either way. But I guess that's how I saw it throughout the movie. Was that he was a very weak-minded, weak person in some sense.
He could have been. You know, it's like like definitely for me it didn't work, but I thought that's what they were trying to go for. Uh,
Right. So would you
but
say it
yeah,
worked in the other way? If you look at it from
yeah,
that spin-off?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to say what would have been done better. Still a good movie overall.
Yeah, I definitely. I'm looking at all the actors that they had did screen testings for,
Hmm.
and like they definitely were just trying to just hire the biggest name actors they could find. They definitely did not care. Like, like a lot of these actors don't act like similarly.
Right, right. So
Like
I
they
guess
weren't
yeah, they
looking
had
for
this. They just had this, and that's why I say it almost sounds like the bad guy was throwaway in that at that point. Meaning that like it didn't matter who was there or how they presented the character. His script
yeah.
was rigid enough that just
Well,
put it.
this is for everyone. Reed Richards, Sue Storm, and Johnny, and Ben Grimm too. Like, there's like a bunch of fucking names, like just big names, and I was like, Jesus Christ, look at all these people. Uh,
Wait a
that were
minute.
like,
I've been talking this whole time about Strange.
yeah,
Okay.
I know. I was talking about, but the guy who started this with the Mads Mikkelsen, the guy who played the bad guy in Strange.
Oh.
He was also offered the role of Doom,
Oh,
and for
okay,
the
okay, okay.
yeah,
He'd have been. I
like
think he'd have been a decent Doom. Um, just his face, the way it looked.
I was just pointing out like that's all they wanted for Doom was just like, hey, can
Right.
you look cool with your arms outstretched? Sure.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. And you can tell, yeah, because he was kind of just put in at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
But I think that's yeah, that's my kind of my closing
I
thoughts. I
think
think it
if
the
I remember correctly, those people like bitching that there wasn't going to be Doom in the movie, and I guess that was what the reshoots were.
maybe
Maybe that's why the effects were so bad on Doom.
maybe yeah. Oh, one thing, dude, we're talking about we have to bring up the good spots. One thing, because when I was thinking about what I recommended people to go watch it, dude, all the fight scenes with Reed are so good. All of his stretchy punchy punchies. Oh my god, those fights are so cool.
I have to
His
rewatch that because I
movement,
don't remember it being that funny or cool.
I love it. Yeah, his fights were he would like bend and punch and do this. I was like, whoa, it was exciting. But maybe it's because the movie was so bland that when he did his fights, I was like, yeah, this is awesome. You brought me back in. Um, because the movie had almost no action the entire thing. There literally
Yeah.
wasn't any action. I think we saw Reed fight a couple people, and then at the end it was like the Doom fight, which was 2 minutes long. Maybe that's it. Maybe I was just so pumped up that there was action and he was doing cool stuff. Um,
Yeah.
but I think overall the movie, yeah, it's low. It's definitely low. There's a lot more things I've noticed pointing out that are kind of bad, but I think it's worth a watch if you have nothing going on, which technically means it's not worth a watch. Um, because you're gonna, I would more, if I would recommend, oh, well, don't watch that if you're gonna go watch this or this or this or this or that. There's a myriad of things people haven't probably watched. So to say that I would recommend you go watch it is sort of like untrue, but it's not bad. I'd give it a 5 out of 10, and that's just minimum. It's not bad. Some of the actors are really good. Some of the parts are kind of boring. It's kind of bland. But I left it thinking, yeah, that was okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I do remember seeing this and being like, thinking it was cool when he dodged that fucking bullet and he turned around and he just punched that guy. Yeah, it's pretty cool use of the powers. It's also not too bad. Definitely, I heard people talking about the stretchy powers looking really awkward. Not as bad as the OG.
Right. Well, everybody just compare. Everyone bitches everything.
I
I
think the
can't.
OG's fucking stretchy powers were like way worse.
Right. Well, I don't complain about those
And
because as long as I'm
yeah, how
not,
many stretchy powers have we seen in live action?
I don't none. I don't think outside of him.
Also, we've seen like what's his name? The Beetlejuice stretch his arms out. That looked pretty fucking retarded. We've seen like the one of the bullies from Sky High stretch, and that looked really crappy.
I didn't think. I
Uh,
think it was okay.
I
I
think it
forgot
looked
that
really
Sky
bad.
High. All the effects in Sky High I thought were
Uh,
fine, but I
they were
also
great. I thought the stretcher one, the stretchy guy, was the only bad part of that movie.
I liked him. He's like,
The
I'm out
effect.
of here, and he would just
Well, I
like,
liked his
meow, meow.
attitude. I just didn't like his stretchy powers looked really weird.
You don't think
But
it looked like stupid on purpose? I guess, like, cause he would.
I
Did
mean,
it look fake?
I don't think it was on purpose. I don't because all the other powers looked good.
Well, when I
Um,
say stupid, I mean it was the way that he walked, right? Like he would go
no,
meow, and he'd like lift his legs really weird or like kind of stretch off the screen.
yeah, no,
So th
I thought that was on purpose, but I mean, like, because I was like for comedy, but I'm talking about like just when he was like in actual fights, the stretchy powers looked goofy to me.
uh, yeah, no, I guess so. For me overall, I'm not. You're definitely more critical than I am. When I see things, special effects, CG, whatever, unless
I'm
it's
not
like
critical about it, but I'm not gonna say they were amazing, right?
right. Well, that's like I'm not saying I'm not arguing that by far. That's the last thing I'm arguing. But to me, I'm not going to even look or critique or bring the CGI or any effects up if it wasn't anti-immersive. Like
But
people get
Doctor
on.
Doom's suit was anti-immersive.
I didn't
Uh,
mind it. Yeah, and that's I never noticed it. And I guess maybe
he looks like a crash test dummy.
I'm also unobservant. I think his suit did look dumb, but I didn't think it looked anti-immersive. I thought it felt fine because the suit itself was literally not designed to be cool.
I
He
will say
got melted.
if I never seen Doctor Doom before, if it's like the first time I've ever seen this weird looking motherfucker, I'd probably be like, that guy looks cool.
Right,
But the fact that I know what Doctor Doom looks like, I'm like, nah.
right, and that's why when I give my critique, I take myself out of it. I thought it looked dumb. I was like, that's fucking stupid. That's the stupidest Doom I've ever seen, right? And that's all you're gonna hear on any review of the movie. And
Agreed.
I don't like bringing that to the table. I'm gonna say it,
Yeah,
and I've
yeah,
said it earlier, but I think it's also important to bring to the table that appropriately, that was an environmental suit that got chemically bonded and melted and scarred to his body.
yeah,
It would look just like that. And not only did it would look like that, they made it look cool enough as this amalgamation of a suit human man disgusting monster.
yeah,
I thought it was great for the setting and the context.
yeah,
So that's kind of my thing is why I won't always bring that up is it's like, yeah, no,
yeah.
it was stupid. If you want Doctor Doom and you think he should look a certain way, you're going to be very unhappy. But I think I
Short
did
story long.
short story long, yes.
I yeah, now looking back at this, like, I don't know, 10-second clip of him fighting the soldiers,
Yeah.
all the different stretchy ways or like stretch things he does against
Yeah.
these soldiers, looks good.
It's cool, isn't
It
it?
looks great. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that shit was
But it's
so
like
cool.
it's like 10 seconds. So I was like,
Yeah, no, you're right. And it left an impact on me. That's why I remember it. But yeah, definitely it wasn't
yeah.
like this huge thing.
Like, it was one of the best uses of Reed's powers
Right. I loved it. And
in
that's
any
off the
movie.
back of him doing his cool fucking face transmogrification.
Yeah,
So like
yeah.
that whole section I thought was super awesome. And I guess it was kind of a more of a highlight going into it.
You know, whenever you don't like a movie, you always have to go back and look at everything and then make excuses for why you don't hate the movie outside of like one or two reasons. You want to find every reason and you nitpick every little thing. That's
Right,
what
and it
people do.
sucks because you're okay to not like it. You can literally just say, "Yeah, I don't know, I didn't think it was funny, or these things were lost on me," or right, you're
And I feel people
okay.
who like do that nitpick at everything are like they're just trying to feel like, I don't know, vindicated. Like, oh yeah, everything was bad in this movie. So
Right,
and yeah, I shouldn't feel bad for hating this movie so much as I do for like
right,
the few scenes or the just because I don't like the story, the direction it took.
right. Is that our final story?
Yeah, I
Because
think
we brought up the
we
last of
covered
our
like all the stuff we liked about the characters, what worked, which ones
right,
like it looked like it was gonna be like a more character driven story
right
with the Fantastic Four, but then it just turned into like
action movie at the end.
yeah, like a roller coaster movie at the end.
Right, right.
Uh, uh,
Ooh, I know. I really loved the ending scene where they got their own base in the mountains, and that was really
yeah,
cool. And he was
Baxter
like,
Building. Was it the Baxter Building? It wasn't the Baxter Building. It was
whatever building. It
their
was something.
yeah, it was their fucking headquarters. The
Right. I
Fantastic
thought that was
Four's,
really
like,
cool. And then when he got up the name of it, he said, "Yeah, it's fantastic." I was like, "Oh, that's cool." They kind of rolled off the tongue a little bit. So like it was, you know,
oh,
the last scene
fucking,
was good.
his brother said it's clobbering time whenever he got to go
Bro,
smack him upside the
I
head.
actually really liked that because his brother meant it. Like,
Yeah.
but then the way he delivered it, literally, the older brother, when he delivered that line, oh, I felt it. I
I
felt
don't know.
like that.
It felt kind of forced to me. I
Oh, you
was
think
like,
so?
that's goofy. Yeah, I thought it was a little goofy. Uh,
I love it. I thought it was kind of because he was trying to be cheesy, but he was also like a dickhead. So I don't know. I think it worked when the brother said it
yeah.
as a dickhead. But when he says it as the thing, it's always cheesy. So when he
Uh,
said it as the thing, I was okay with it being kind of cheesy.
I felt it. Oh no, I liked it when he said it. When his older brother said it, I thought was cheesy.
Interesting. They had the
Yeah.
opposite effect. And I will say
Uh,
I didn't think it felt cheesy when the thing said it.
yeah.
So maybe it was because he delivered it so well.
Yeah.
But in my brain, I rationalized it as, oh shit, that's where that came from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, that's really cool. His older
When I
brother
first
would.
saw his brother say it, I said, "Is this why he says it? Really?" So like,
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't really think he needed a reason as to why he said it's clobbering time. Shit. I was about to say it reminded me of something, but I can't remember exactly what that thing was. It's gone now.
It's okay. We were wrapping up anyway.
Stupid,
But there always, I guess,
yeah.
there's little tidbits that we didn't. Yeah, I liked that though because when he said it, it was cool because to me it was like, even if it sounded cheesy, that's where that came from. Because the line itself seems weird.
Yeah.
because they're
Yeah.
not superheroes. I mean, maybe they're trying to be, but they didn't give me that impression. That's a
Johnny's
superhero
Flame On
line.
also sounded fine. I didn't think it was cheesy or weird or out of place when he said Flame On. Uh,
Right. And that's why I say maybe the actors just did such a good delivery that
yeah.
it works. But I think those lines historically have been cheesy. So I was cool with the way that they introduced them.
Oh, I remember. From Game of Thrones, the main girl, the dragon girl's brother,
Uh,
he says, Viserys, he says, do you want to wake the dragon whenever he's being abusive towards her?
uh,
And that works. I don't know. It has always worked. So that's why I was like, it's definitely not because it's a cheesy line, because that's a cheesy line. You want to wake the dragon.
right.
Uh, and it was definitely, I think, the older brother's delivery.
Okay, so do you think
Uh,
that all lines potentially are good if the delivery is good?
yeah, if the delivery is fine, I think it's okay. Uh,
Okay.
because wake the dragon in isolation is like fucking, it's cheesy as fuck.
Right, super
Um,
cheesy. What do you
yeah,
think
and
you're a
but
dragon? You think you're like, oh, it's an analogy for how strong I am, okay?
yeah, yeah.
Like,
So
fuck off, you self-righteous
it's
dickhead.
clobbering time. I wish they had more Ben because I think that's what I like. I like what that actor that did Ben. He did a really good job
Yeah.
of doing that tragic voice when he was like, well, when
Oh,
he was
dude, when
like,
he was calling
Reed,
out,
I need help. Reed, or,
dude.
like,
Oh my god. Nah, when he was calling out, it was too good. I was like, oh my,
yeah.
I wasn't gonna tear up, but I was.
They need I don't know if what they're doing for the MCU Fantastic Four, but I won't put my name in for that guy.
Right,
But get that guy back to do thing again.
right. I
Uh,
want to. I like him because he did brooding so good. His expression, and I know you can't do it when he's the thing, but
yeah.
when he was doing his expression, sitting at the window and looking out of the window, when he said, well, this is goodbye or something. Before he said anything, while he was like broodingly looking out the window, that expression was the thing through and through. That was the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
thing from fucking Civil War. That was the same thing who's like dealing with these issues of like men and fucking this and then politics and doesn't know which side to pick. That was that fucking, oh my god. Whew. He did a really good job on that scene and that emotion of like that not
Oh,
understanding which side to be
I
on.
know where I've seen him. You ever seen Jumper?
Yeah, Jumper was so good.
Uh,
Anyway, fucking short story long. Love you guys. Thank you for fucking stopping and listening. If if you're here for the whole time, fucking more power to you.
all right, see ya.
Yeah, see you guys.